Hey everybody, welcome back to Make Stuff Better. Today, it's a new car Tuesday. My birthday was last week. I got a couple of vehicles, and this is one of them. The new SCX24 Gladiator, and I'm going to show you why this is new. First thing we're going to do is get it open and see what we've got going on inside. Truck, zip tied in. I don't know why RC guys are so enthused, but it comes with batteries for your radio. I mean, I guess it's so you don't have to pull batteries out of another radio and all that stuff. A nice Axial sticker, some instructions and things, connector guide, that's important I guess. And then it looks like a front body mount bind plug. Interesting, because the older ones don't come with a bind plug. And a spare axle shaft, half shaft, and some shock collars.
Shock collar.
We call these toys, but often it's not super easy to get into them. Bubble wrap, I love it. That's it. This is your radio, which is different than past radios. This is second generation SCX24 radio. This is brand new. Spectrum SLT2. I wonder if this will bind to multiple receivers. Oh, that'd be dope. Then we also have a Horizon Spectrum battery and charger. And it looks like it's a USB-C. Yep, USB-C charger. And the plug goes straight into the battery. And you've got only one balance cable on the other end. This is interesting. So I'm going to get this battery onto charge, and we're going to look at the truck, and then we're going to run it. So I'm looking at the transmitter here, and all the batteries go up inside. And I don't know about you guys, but when I set a transmitter down, I almost always just do that. This transmitter, yeah, you can see it right there. It's flat here, and then there's an edge, and it's flat again. If they had just made this flat all the way across, you could have stood it up very well like that. But as it is, it's kind of precariously perched on one of those faces. And it won't even, well, I guess it'll stay on that one, but just make it flat. Why did you have to do that? Now that does not mean I already dislike the transmitter. That just means I don't like the way it stands or doesn't stand up. Alright, they tell you right here, I'm trying to show that with them in the light. There's a minus on this one and a positive on that one. Boom, there's a lot of light now. So these need to go this way. Oh, and they've got another one. Just saw that. Positive and minus on the inside there. That's kind of cool. You've got your throttle limit here, steering reverse, steering rate, and steering trim. So there's no like programming your endpoints, it's just limits both ends at the same time. It's got good one-handed steer. I can reverse and steer. Whereas like with my Traxxas radios, this is so far away. If I'm going to steer, I have to like adjust my hand around the radio, and then I can only drive forward. And if I want to go backwards, like my finger doesn't actually reach to go backwards. Truck is zip tied in with a single zip tie. As much as you want to use one of these to cut that, let me tell you a story about cutting zip ties with sharp knives. That's the story. So use scissors or cutters if you have them, because you're not going to cut yourself with those. And the truck comes right out. Nice. What's new about this truck is oil-filled shocks. Stock. They barely even... They move so slow. It works great for a crawler, but this is not a high-speed truck. Let me show you something. This is one of my other SCX24s. The only thing that's aftermarket is the body and the tires and wheels. Everything else is stock. So it has the stock shocks and it bounces, whereas this one doesn't bounce. It's very dampened, as it were. All right, let's get under the hood. I believe it's just Velcro. Sounds like Velcro. which means I'm changing that because I don't enjoy the whole Velcro thing. I much prefer magnetic body mounts, which is super easy. I just hot glue one on there, pull the Velcro off, hot glue it on there. The thing about a magnetic body mount is when you drop it, it will automatically center the body this way too. So it's always in the right spot. Whereas Velcro, I can put it on crooked and it'll be all out of whack. Nobody likes that. I don't like that. I don't know how many. Somebody might like it. Oh, this is interesting. The battery's in it. This is not a battery. I thought it was so small to be a battery. It's just a USB charger for your battery. Guess what? This hasn't been charging because it's not a battery. Now we can charge it. Good job. Spectrum 350 milliamp hour battery. I thought it was small. I was like, this is really, really small to be a battery. And then I looked at the output. I don't know if you can see this. Yes, you can. Output 1 to 8.4 volts. Max 0.5 amps. I'm looking at that rating. I'm going, how does a battery produce a range of power voltage? It shouldn't. It should just be the one voltage. And then half an amp, like that's not enough to do hardly anything. So, mystery solved. All right, so under here, ooh, the shock bodies are much bigger than the stock SCX24 bodies. Here's your stock SCX24 shock. And here is the new one. Trying to move that around so you can see it. Much bigger, more robust. It's probably got to be bigger to fit the piston with the oil damping characteristics and stuff like that, whereas this is just like a screw with the head on it. We do have a new Spectrum receiver ESC. They also have a magnet on here to reduce EMF stuff. That motor looks so small though. Is it that small in my other one? I guess so. Yes, I can confirm. Same motor. This is the old ESC. Still says Horizon on it. This is the new one by Spectrum. Is Axial still a Horizon brand? I don't remember. If you know, comment below, because I'm interested now. Same servo, same motor, obviously same axles, same plastic links, same chassis rails. I do have other SCX24s, like, so this one here was the Jeep. I put the Raptor body on it. But the back end here was different on the Jeep. I want to say the pivot goes right through the chassis rail. And I think, oh yeah, check this out. I mean, we all know the Gladiator's a long vehicle, but this is the JLU chassis, and that's the Gladiator chassis, and we're almost 3/4 of an inch, maybe a whole inch longer on this one. That's crazy. So this battery tray looks like it's lower because the motor's further forward, the whole chassis is longer, whereas this battery tray sits up higher over top of the motor. So you're going to get slightly lower center of gravity as far as the battery's concerned. I mean, this truck has all this stuff up here, which makes it top heavy, so that kind of ruins it. 3 jerry cans, a jack. Oh, it comes with shovels. Shovels on both sides, and then 2 traction boards. Now, something about this truck being on a 2-channel system instead of the old 4-channel system is that I could turn my headlights on and off, or my fog lights because they're in the bumper, with channel 4 if I plug them into the headlight port here. You can see it's got CL, I think, are signal lights left and right, so it pays attention when you turn the wheels, turns on your signals. Then your headlight, I think, runs from channel 4, but you also have channel 4 separately, and then channel 3 and 1. And you don't have a channel 2 because it's got the ESC built in. It just sends power out here instead of giving a signal for channel 2. The original SCX24 did have a channel 2 out, so you could replace your ESC and motor, do like a brushless upgrade, and keep your radio system. So we can see there's multiple channel connectors in there, so I wonder if you bind this to a radio with more channels, if you'll get more channels out of it. You've got a little plug here on the right by my finger, so if you move that, it goes from forward brake to something else that I can't read because it's hidden behind the tray that holds the ESC receiver. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's like all the labels for those are across the bottom. Like Spectrum built this for this truck, but didn't really build it for this truck. So I have no idea what those do, and I'm not taking the ESC off right now to see what they are. It would be cool, though, if it had a channel 2. I think you could just plug in a brushless system and use that. All right, we got it turned on, powered up. Pretty average steering for an SCX24. That's as slow as it goes. I feel like the old SCX24s went slower. Maybe if we switch this. Nope. Basically the same. I mean, it's not bad speed. But let's see if I can make my other one go even slower. So this is how slow the old SCX24 can modulate in its stock form. We're talking, this is the motor it came with, this is the ESC it came with, this is the radio it came with. You hear the whine of the motor, but you don't get like jumpiness. Now we'll compare that to the Jeep. I'm pulling on the trigger, we're getting there. That's right there, it's either going or it's not at that speed. Now let's do a race. Race to the slowest. This is... Yeah. And it's like, well, I've got it switched to the 50%. Switch it to 100. It'll engage sooner. That's why it didn't take off right away, because I'm pulling on the trigger and I'm not getting anything. But that's all you get. And this one's like super slow. They must be saving money on these electronics. 2 less channels. Probably did a deal with Spectrum for a lot of their other Axial stuff. This, I think, is the better way to go. So if you find the older one with this, you're going to have much better modulation. So I think, from what I've seen, maybe it says it right on here. Nope, it only says Horizon Hobby. But I see radios that look exactly like this. I want to say they're flysky. I don't know if that's true. If it's not true, let me know in the comments who actually builds this radio, because it's not Axial. This radio is built by Spectrum, and you just have much better low-speed modulation with this one, or the whole system, not necessarily just the radio. This is like they assume people are going to upgrade it, and Spectrum is much more widely used in at least the surface RC community. So they probably assume that people are going to upgrade this anyway, and I think that's how they're able to save money, because this truck was $135, And right next to it is the older Bronco without oil shocks, and that's $159. So it's $25 more for the older one without oil shocks, but it's going to have this radio. And I think that's where they're saving money, is by going Spectrum, 2 channels instead of 4. Obviously a very light duty, like they're saving money on plastic. They didn't even build out the bottom part there. So they're doing what they can to save money. It feels like quality. It doesn't feel cheap, but that's just on the outside, and it's probably because it's got the 4 batteries in it. It actually feels heavier than this one. But fewer options, and modulation just isn't there. I wasn't going to make this a comparison video. I was just going to take the truck out and run it. And I knew it was going to have this radio in it. But I think I'm going to keep going with the comparison, because now I'm interested to see how it crawls up and over things. If it's going to stop and then lurch, or what. So let's do that now. So I'm going to start with the Gladiator, and I'm going to see how slow up this ramp I can crawl. I've adjusted it so traction shouldn't be an issue. I just want to know what the modulation is like. Okay, so that's not bad. Now let's try the old Horizon SCX24. Based on what I'm feeling, with this one, it seems like it's easier to modulate it at low speed. You still have to give it enough power to get up there, but when I'm pulling on the trigger, I've got more movement that I've got to make the trigger go in order to get less movement out of the truck. Whereas on this one, I'm pulling a little bit and then the truck is moving a lot more. Now, just for fun, I'm going to try a TRX4M and just see how slow we can go up there with this. Now it sounds like it runs smoother, and honestly it feels like it runs smooth, but I don't think it actually does. It seems like it behaves more like the Gladiator. So even though the old SCX24 has better modulation and low speed control, they're the exact same top speed, which makes sense. It's the same battery, same motor, same transmission, so you supply all the voltage and it's going to go the same speed. This one might be just a tick faster because the wheels are a little bit bigger, but that would be it. On that crawling test, it did seem a lot easier for the old SCX24 to just keep it constant. Once I got on the pitch, I gave it a little bit more and I just held it there, and it climbed up the entire thing. Whereas with this, I had to give it a little bit more and then it would go, and I'd let off to try and slow it down a little bit. And then with the TRX4M, I thought it was close to this. It's not. It's very difficult to modulate on that test. And from what I've seen, I do have low speed gearing for it. I'm going to put that in and we'll see how it goes. But from what I've seen, people say that low speed gearing is a must for crawling with that. And then as you saw in the race, it's twice as fast as this thing. So that tells you it's just geared way too high. It does feel really smooth when you don't need that low speed modulation. So by gearing it down, you still have the smoothness in how the ESC works and the radio, but then you've got the gearing to go with it. But this isn't about the TRX4M, this is about the SCX24 Gladiator Gen 3. The Gladiator might only be a second generation Gladiator, but it's third gen SCX24. I love it. I think it's great. And I'm not just saying that because a lot of people do reviews on cars and they just go, yeah, this is a great car. And they tell you some things. You're like, I don't love that. I don't love the low speed modulation with it, but they're trying to save money, and they do. I mean, $25 less for this setup when people are probably going to go upgrade it relatively quickly anyway. Why not? The original of this, I think, was $159, like the old Bronco that I saw at the store. But I think it's cool that the wheels match the body. That's actually why I got this one instead of a black one. The black one had chrome rims. And I was like, that just seems like a little too bright for how dark and midnight the body is, which the black one looks really cool, don't get me wrong. But this one just had a little bit more pop, so I went with this one. Eventually, I will do some upgrades with this. I'm going to look at the ESC eventually and figure out what all those channels are and what they do. You've only got a 2-channel radio, so nothing's going to be operated from this. But maybe if you hook up to an SLT3, you'd get a little bit more out of it. I do have this radio, which is the DX3, so it's a 3-channel. I think the DX uses a different protocol though, because it won't connect to my SLT3 receiver. I think that's what it's called. It goes with an SLT3 radio because I think it uses a different protocol, but I do have a channel 3 button. So I might see if that'll connect to this receiver. Given that this is the SLT2, I would assume it's a different protocol than the DX. I don't know why the same company would do that. Just use the same protocol unless there's some other cost that's involved. But this radio will give me a lot of options, and if that receiver does have extra channels on it, then we can use that, at least one of them. So I've been wanting one of these Jeeps since they came out. I'm like, I love pickup style RCs. So I know it's not a real truck, but it's pickup style. It's got the bed, which is super cool. I did get the original JLU, the white one, second generation. That's why I have that radio. And then I swapped the body out for that Raptor. But I might find a way to get that body to swap back and forth so I can have the Raptor or the JLU, which is kind of cool. And maybe turn it into some sort of crawling monster. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you find value in this. If not, don't worry about it. Keep moving on. But if you watch to the end, you probably do find some value in it. Anyway, thanks for watching.